My name is Serena Klein, and I'm 32 years old. At 2:14 p.m., in the middle of a budget review, my phone lit up with a message that split the hour into before and after. Noah, just got off the phone with Dr. Reynolds. Told him you've been skipping your heart meds for weeks. He's cutting off the refills until you get serious about your health. Maybe now you'll listen to me. I read it once, twice, a third time. The text didn't change, only my pulse did. I haven't missed a dose in 2 years. Arrhythmia doesn't negotiate. It keeps time or it takes it. Every morning, 7:02 a.m., pill organizer, left to right, click, swallow, water, breathe. Concerning, I typed back. Then I excused myself from the meeting and walked into a hallway that smelled like copier ink and someone else's lunch, trying to keep my voice steady as I called the clinic. This is Serena Klein, patient ID ending in 58. My mouth was dry. I need to speak to Dr. Reynolds now. The nurse sounded apologetic, practiced. We were going to call you today. Your boyfriend reached out with concerns that... I haven't missed a single dose, I said. Not one. Can he see me today? The pause felt like a small eternity booking itself into my afternoon. 4:30. I left work early. At home, I moved with the speed of someone who knows exactly where the exits are. I grabbed the pill organizer, Sunday through Saturday. Every day in the past 3 months clicked shut. I reopened each lid the way a lawyer might. Tiny proof in blue plastic. I opened the pharmacy app. Every refill, every 28 days, picked up within 24 hours. Screenshots, timestamps, reminders, refill confirmations. I took a photo of Noah's text. Noah wasn't home. Lunch with the guys, his calendar had said. The apartment was neutral. Couch, plant, the hum of a refrigerator that didn't care whether two people in this space were telling the truth to each other. Dr. Reynolds has known me since the bad news 2 years ago. He knows the way I keep notes. He knows I file follow-up questions like invoices. He knows I'm serious. I set everything on his desk like exhibits. Pill box, app records, labs from 3 weeks ago, therapeutic levels, and then the text. His eyes moved from the organizer to the lab results to my phone screen, and the concern in his face hardened into something angrier. Dr. Reynolds doesn't raise his voice. He lets facts do it for him. She called at 9:47 a.m., he said, checking his system. Said she found your meds untouched in the cabinet for weeks. Said you've been irritable and defensive when she brings it up. She sounded convincing. I refill the organizer every Sunday, I said. He's watched me do it. I'm boring about it. He tapped the lab panel. Your levels are perfect. Exactly what I expect for full adherence. If you'd skipped for weeks, we'd see it here. So what happens now? I asked. He leaned back, not breaking eye contact. What he did is interference with medical treatment. If I had acted on his report without verifying, I could have denied you necessary medication. I'm obligated to report this to the police and to our medical board. And Serena, I'm also writing a 3-month prescription today, filled immediately. You will not go without medication. Relief made my hands shake. Anger kept them steady. Report it, I said, please. He printed records, my refill history, his note, the call log showing 9:47 a.m., the lab values. He asked if I was safe. I will be, I said, and I meant it in the future tense. Twilight sat low over the parking lot when I drove home. Inside, the apartment smelled like garlic and tomato. Noah was at the stove, humming, like the day had been stitched back together with string no one would notice. Hey, babe, he smiled, casual. You're early. I'm making that pasta you like. I held up my phone with the text open. Want to explain this? He didn't look surprised. He looked annoyed. So he called you already. Good. Now maybe you'll actually talk to me about us. You told my cardiologist I'm not taking my meds. You tried to cut off my refills. You're not compliant, he shot back. Not with us. You come home, you eat, you go to your office, you barely talk to me. I needed to get your attention. I'm compliant with my treatment, I said evenly. You lied about that. I didn't lie, he said, and the word bent in his mouth. You're non-compliant with our relationship. The logic made a full circle and strangled itself. I set my keys down. Dr. Reynolds filed a police report for medical interference. Color drained from his face. He what? You filed a false medical report. That's a crime. That's insane. I was trying to help. His voice climbed and cracked. I was worried. You weren't worried. You were manipulating. You weaponized my heart to get attention. He started crying. The angry kind. The kind that asks the world to apologize for holding it accountable. You can't be serious. You're going to let them arrest me over this? I didn't let them do anything, I said. You did this. I walked past him toward the bedroom. He followed. Where are you going? Packing. You can't leave. We need to work this out. I pulled a duffel from the closet and began filling it with clothes that looked suddenly like someone else's. You tried to cut off my access to the medication that keeps my heart beating steadily, I said. That's not a mistake. That's a line. He grabbed my arm. Please, I'll apologize to the doctor. I'll fix this. I pulled away. Don't touch me. In the bathroom, I checked my medication, untouched by anyone but me, exactly as I knew it would be. I put the bottle next to the organizer like a pair of lungs. I'm staying with Mara, I said, returning to the hall. I'll be back this weekend for the rest. If you leave, he said, moving to block the door, we're done. Yeah, I said softly, we are. He didn't move. I took my phone out, thumb hovering over Mara's name. Either you move, or you can explain to my sister why you're physically preventing me from leaving. He shifted an inch. That inch was enough. You'll regret this, he hissed as I opened the door. No one will believe you. They'll think you're crazy. Cool, I said, and I meant it the way you mean a door closing. I drove to Mara's. She let me in without questions, just space and a glass of water. Later on her sofa, with my pillbox on the coffee table like a lighthouse, I watched the ceiling fan carve the air into even pieces and tried not to imagine the version of the afternoon where Dr. Reynolds believed Noah first. I didn't sleep much. When I did, I dreamed in alarms. At 6:59 a.m., my phone buzzed. At 7:15, I took my pill, clicked the lid, and breathed. My heart drummed steady, unbothered by anyone's story but mine. Detective Morrison called at 9:03 a.m., voice even, coffee warm, already done with everyone else's nonsense. Ms. Klein, this is Detective Morrison. Dr. Reynolds filed a report yesterday regarding medical interference. I'd like you to come in and give a statement. At 11 unchuk, I sat across from her in a room the color of paper. I set down the same exhibits I'd given my cardiologist, the pill organizer, pharmacy refills, lab panel, and a crisp printout of Noah's text. Morrison's pen moved in tidy strokes. You mark every day? She asked, lifting the organizer. Every day for 2 years, I said. He's watched me refill it every Sunday. She nodded. Clinic confirms a 9:47 a.m. call from your boyfriend. He claimed he found untouched bottles and that you were irritable and defensive. Both lies, I said. Your labs show therapeutic levels from 3 weeks ago, she continued. If you'd been skipping for weeks, that wouldn't be possible. We're investigating reckless endangerment and filing a false medical report. This isn't relationship drama, Ms. Klein. It's criminal interference with care. There was a small, merciful silence, the kind that acknowledges the cliff you nearly walked off. Document everything, she added. Time, date, location. If he contacts you or shows up, keep records. Consider a protective order. I left with a card, a case number, and the sensation that the ground under my life had decided to be solid again. Mara met me at the apartment to gather the rest of my things. We'd timed it for Noah's usual 6 p.m. gym window. His calendar had always been louder than his conscience. He wasn't at the gym. He was on the couch. You came back, he said, standing too fast. Good. We can talk. Not here to talk, I said. Here to pack. Serena, he softened, as if the syllables could unspool the facts. I overreacted. I was scared. Mara brushed past him, a force field in boots. Scared people don't call cardiologists with fabricated histories, she said. Scared people ask questions. Noah's sister Chloe stepped out of the kitchen holding a paper cup. I hadn't seen her car outside. Do you know what you're putting him through? She snapped. He hasn't slept. Mara's eyebrow tilted. He tried to cut off medication that keeps my sister's heart in rhythm. He can stay awake, or he can learn to imagine consequences while napping. Either way, we're packing. We worked room by room, books, the framed photo of our mother holding a kite like a sail, my climbing shoes, still dusted with chalk. Noah kept pace behind us with apologies, then explanations, then negotiations, as if one of them might unlock a door I'd already bricked shut. I'll go to therapy, he said. I'll make it right with your doctor. You can't uncall the clinic, I said. You can't unlie to a chart. He trailed me to the bedroom doorway. I just needed you to see me. I needed to keep my heart beating, I said. Our needs are not equivalent. We loaded the car at dusk. He stood on the curb, hands empty. You're going to miss me, he called. Not if you keep your distance, Mara answered, dropping the trunk with a clean thud. The pop-ups began Monday. At 6:07 a.m., Noah appeared at my gym. He'd never stepped foot there. I joined, he said, like it was romance and not reconnaissance. We can work out together. No, I said, and walked to the desk. Please cancel guest access on my account. Security, camera, note, ex-boyfriend, unwanted contact. Wednesday, he was at the coffee shop near my office, stationed like a lighthouse that didn't know what light was for. What a coincidence, he said, rising. It isn't, I said, crossing the street to another cafe I'd never been to. My Americano tasted like ash and boundaries. I kept the receipt anyway. Thursday, the grocery store, produce aisle, between the celery and the oranges. We shop here, he smiled. We did, I said. I left my cart, walked out, and sat in my car until my hands stopped shaking. I called Detective Morrison. He's everywhere, I said. Gym, coffee, groceries. Log it all, she said. Time, place, duration. File for a protective order. We'll attach your documentation. Her calm steadied me like a metronome. Friday afternoon, I stood before a clerk behind glass and filled out the forms. Check boxes, lines for dates, descriptions that made the week look clinical. 6:07 a.m., gym. 8:21 a.m., cafe. 5:38 p.m., grocery. I attached screenshots, timestamps, and the video clip from Mara's Ring doorbell of Noah and Chloe telling me I was ruining his life. The hearing would be Tuesday. I put the date in my calendar with a title that felt like exhaling. Boundary, court ordered. That night, Mara and I ate takeout on her living room floor. The pill organizer sat on the coffee table again, Sunday through Saturday, a solemn rainbow. Do you remember, Mara asked softly, how you used to set 3 alarms at the beginning? I smiled into my carton. First week after diagnosis, I slept with the bottle in my hand. And now? Now I take it at 7 and think about breakfast. Mara nodded. That's what he didn't get. Your life is boring on purpose. Boring keeps you here. We were mid-bite when the door camera chimed. Pamela, Noah's mother, stood in the hallway, posture like a verdict, phone clutched like a microphone. Mara tapped the intercom. Can we help you? Pamela's voice came tinny through the speaker. I need to speak to Serena. Mara answered in the tone she saves for telemarketers and men who call at midnight. No, you don't. Pamela leaned toward the lens. You're destroying my son over a misunderstanding. I stepped closer to the mic. Your son called my cardiologist and lied about my care, I said. There is no misunderstanding. I'll pray for you, she said, which sounded like a threat. Pray from the sidewalk, Mara replied, and ended the feed. We saved the clip to the cloud. I expected shaking. It didn't come. What came was a low hum of grief. For the version of my life where love didn't look like surveillance, where concern didn't look like control. I palmed my pill for the next morning and pretended it was a small bright stone. Something you don't drop in the dark. Saturday, I returned for the last box, the one with the winter coats and the hand-knit scarf I only wore when I wanted to be braver than I felt. Noah wasn't there. The place looked staged. No cups, no clutter, no signs of a person who understood absence. On the kitchen counter sat a single note. You're overreacting. No one will love you if you stay like this. Mara read it, snorted, folded it once, and slid it into a plastic sleeve. Evidence, she said. Also trash. We left the keys on the dining table. The lock clicked behind us, simple as syntax. Sunday morning, my phone rang. Ms. Klein, this is Blue Ridge Mutual, a voice said. We've received a notification that you may be non-compliant with your prescribed regimen. We're reviewing coverage. For a heartbeat, 1, my chest felt hollow. Rage arrived second and steadier. Who filed that notification? I'm not authorized to disclose. You can expect a letter from my cardiologist today, I said. My compliance is fully documented. I called Dr. Reynolds. He was furious in the way only disciplined people get. Quiet, exact. We'll handle it, he said. I'll fax the labs, refill records, and a summary. If someone impersonated clinic staff, we'll pursue it. I hung up and wrote the times down. 8:41 a.m., insurance call. 8:53 a.m., Dr. Reynolds' letter promised. My hand didn't shake. The afternoon stretched out like clean paper. I filled my organizer for the coming week, lids ticking shut like distant footfalls. On Tuesday, I would sit in a courtroom and ask a stranger in a robe to draw a line he couldn't cross. But sitting there in the quiet, I understood something important. I had already drawn it. The law would just put a sign on it. At 7 p.m., I swallowed the day's pill, felt the rhythm settle, and let the room grow dark around the simple miracle of a heart doing exactly what it's meant to do. Tuesday morning came clear and sharp, the kind of morning that doesn't allow you to lie to yourself. I woke before the alarm, sat on the edge of Mara's couch, and let the quiet steady me. My pill box waited on the coffee table, 7 neat compartments, each one proof that I was still here, still following the plan that kept my heart obedient. At 7, I took my pill, swallowed, and whispered to no one, one more day doing it right. Then I got dressed for court. The courthouse was colder than it needed to be, designed to make people small. Detective Morrison met me near the elevators, her presence calm and grounding. "You ready?" she asked. "As I'll ever be." Inside, the courtroom smelled faintly of paper and tension. Across the aisle sat Noah, flanked by his parents and an attorney in an immaculate gray suit. His mother, Pamela, clutched a tissue she never used. His father, Ray, stared at the floor. When the clerk called our case, I stood. Morrison nodded encouragingly from the back row. The judge, a woman in her 50s with an expression that could cut glass, looked over the file. "Ms. Klein, you're requesting a 1-year protective order?" "Yes, Your Honor." The attorney rose. "Your Honor, my client, Mr. Cooper, acted out of concern. He feared Ms. Klein's medical noncompliance could endanger her life. He may have been mistaken, but—" The judge held up a hand. "Mistaken?" She adjusted her glasses. "According to this, Mr. Cooper called Ms. Klein's cardiologist, falsely claimed she was skipping medication, and requested the prescription be cut off." The lawyer hesitated. He misunderstood the severity. The judge turned to Dr. Reynolds' affidavit. "Her blood work 3 weeks prior showed therapeutic levels. That doesn't look like misunderstanding. It looks deliberate." I kept my eyes on the table, pulse steady. The air felt charged, like before a storm. Then the judge looked directly at Noah. "Mr. Cooper, is there anything you'd like to say?" He stood, eyes wet, voice rehearsed. "I just wanted her to talk to me. She was distant. I thought if she realized how worried I was, maybe she'd care again. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. The judge leaned forward. "So you admit you knowingly made a false report to manipulate her?" Noah's mouth opened, closed. His lawyer's hand hovered helplessly near his arm. "I didn't think of it like that," Noah whispered. "How else should I think of it?" the judge asked. "You interfered with your partner's medical treatment. That could have been fatal." Silence pressed heavy against the walls. "Protective order granted," she said finally. 1 year, 500 feet. No direct or indirect contact. Any violation will result in arrest." The gavel struck once. Clean, final. Outside, sunlight cut across the courthouse steps like a spotlight no one wanted. Pamela rounded on me immediately, her voice sharpened to break skin. "You ruined him," she spat. "He's lost his job, his reputation, all because you couldn't forgive one mistake." Before I could speak, Mara stepped between us, calm as stone. "He tried to cut off her heart medication," she said. "That's not a mistake. That's a felony in slow motion." Pamela's face flushed scarlet. "You don't understand." "I understand enough," Mara said. "Go home." Security appeared, and Pamela retreated, muttering prayers that sounded more like curses. By the time we reached the car, my phone buzzed. It was Dr. Reynolds' office. "We traced the insurance call," his nurse said. "Someone posed as our staff, used the same story about skipped doses. The recording caught a male voice. We've turned it over to Detective Morrison." My stomach dropped. So it was him. "Looks that way," she said gently. "The detective will keep you updated. You're doing the right thing, Serena." I ended the call and sat quietly for a moment, letting the realization land. He hadn't just lied once. He doubled down, over and over, building an entire alternate reality around my heartbeat. Mara drove us home. The city rolled by in slow frames, pedestrians, storefronts, windows reflecting light that looked too clean for everything I felt. At a red light, Mara glanced at me. "You okay?" I exhaled. "I don't know if I'm angry or relieved." "Probably both," she said. "Anger keeps you awake. Relief lets you sleep. You'll need both for a while." That night, I set the court papers on my dresser like armor. 500 feet. It didn't sound like much distance in theory, but it was enough space to breathe, to walk without checking reflections in every window. Before bed, I refilled the pill organizer for the week. Lids clicking closed like locks on tiny safes. each compartment a promise. The city outside was restless, but my apartment was still. I sat in the dark, listening to the rhythmic hum in my chest, steady and sure. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was life, measured, quiet, mine again. 3 months later, the world had gone back to pretending nothing extraordinary had happened. But for me, every ordinary moment, a quiet morning, the sound of the kettle, the 7 a.m., click of my pillbox, felt like a small victory. Detective Morrison called one afternoon as I was finishing lunch. "Ms. Klein, the DA's office is proceeding," she said. 3 counts: reckless endangerment, false medical reporting, and insurance fraud. He's agreed to a plea deal. My stomach twisted, but it wasn't fear, it was closure, knocking softly. What does that mean? Probation, 2 years. Mandatory therapy, restitution for your legal fees, and a permanent record. She hesitated. You should know, he took the deal. No trial. I thanked her, hung up, and stared at the table for a long time. I thought I'd feel triumph, but what settled in was something quieter, like dust after a demolition. 2 weeks later, I went to the courthouse for sentencing. Not because I had to, but because I needed to hear the end myself. Noah arrived in a black suit that didn't fit anymore. Not just his shoulders, but his life. His lawyer spoke first, trying to thread sympathy through facts that refused to bend. Then Noah stood, voice trembling, words small. I was desperate. I wanted her to notice me again. I didn't mean to hurt her. The judge listened, face unreadable. "Mr. Cooper," she said, "you weaponized a medical condition to gain control. You impersonated medical staff. You manipulated systems meant to protect people's lives. This was not desperation. It was calculation." She sentenced him to 2 years probation, mandatory therapy, $3,000 restitution, and a permanent criminal record. When the gavel fell, the sound didn't echo. It landed like punctuation at the end of a story I never wanted to write. Noah's eyes searched for me as he was led away. I didn't look back. Afterward, I met Dr. Reynolds for coffee near the clinic. He handed me a letter to keep for my records. Formal, concise, protective. "We've added a note to your chart," he said. "Any calls about your case require direct verification with you." He smiled softly. "And for what it's worth, your heart is perfect. Labs are steady, compliance exemplary." "Guess I'm taking my health seriously after all," I said. "Good," he replied. "Keep it boring. Boring saves lives." We laughed, tired laughter, the kind that feels earned. By spring, Noah had moved back with his mother. His job was gone, his lease broken. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard he was struggling to find work with a probation record. I didn't feel satisfaction, only inevitability. Mara called one evening, voice low. His ex, Brianna, messaged me. She said he did something similar years ago. Not medical, but emotional manipulation. She thought you'd want to know. I didn't, but I thanked her anyway. Some people repeat patterns until life stops letting them. Life for me became quieter, steadier. My new apartment overlooked the river. I liked the way the morning light hit the water, calm, relentless, constant. I installed security cameras, more for reassurance than fear. One Saturday, I met Eli, a quiet, steady guy from my climbing group. We shared coffee after practice, both too cautious to call it a date. He asked gently, "You always check your phone right at 7 o'clock?" "Habit," I said. "Medication?" He nodded, thoughtful. "Good habit. You take care of yourself." It wasn't flirtation, it was respect, and maybe that's why it mattered. Over the next few months, we saw each other often. He never asked for details I didn't offer. He never made concern feel like surveillance. He understood that trust wasn't a gift, it was an ecosystem. One night, as we walked home, he said, "Sometimes surviving something doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're awake." I smiled. Then I'm very awake. It's been almost a year now. The protective order is nearly up. I haven't seen Noah once. Sometimes, I still half expect a shadow outside the gym window or an unknown number lighting up my phone. But nothing comes. Instead, life comes, in small, stubborn ways. I take my medication every morning at 7 o'clock. I refill my organizer every Sunday. I see Dr. Reynolds twice a year. My heart beats on schedule, steady as truth. People sometimes ask if I ever felt bad for him, losing his job, his future, his reputation. No, not even a little. He made choices. Each call, each lie, each impersonation, all choices. He turned my health into a tool, my heartbeat into leverage. You don't get to do that and call it love. Love doesn't control, love protects. This morning, I sat on my balcony watching the river move like a slow pulse. My phone buzzed. 7 a.m. I opened the Monday compartment, swallowed the pill, and felt my chest rise and fall. Steady, measured, mine. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't surviving. I was living. And my heart, literal and otherwise, was beating exactly the way it was meant to.